Hi, welcome to the Gear Garage. My name is Zach, and this is my fun little internet show about whitewater things. And today we'll talk about the Orion Cooler. These used to be called Orion Coolers. I think they're now Jackson Adventures Coolers. The company Jackson Kayak started making these out of their factory, and they did a really good job. I'm a whitewater boater, and they added a lot of features to these that whitewater boaters will appreciate. Now, there's a whole bunch of Rotomoto coolers out there now. There's this, there's the Yeti, there's the Arctic. There's a bunch more brands. And I have to say the Canyon coolers, which are really good too, they all hold ice about the same. I would say within 10 or 20%. You could do ice tests and show that this one's better than Yeti. You could do all these tests and find out that they're all really good. And I don't really care if they're within 10 or 20% of each other. It's sort of like new trucks. Like the new Ford truck has like 20% more horsepower than it did before. It's a lot of horsepower. It's more horsepower than most of us need. Same thing with these coolers. All the coolers do really good in terms of holding ice, so any of these top level coolers will do a good job for you. I think what sets the Orion apart are just all the thoughtful touches they added to the cooler. And I want to point some of them out that are specific to whitewater rafting. First of all, these latches are just bomber. They latch really easy. They're flush with the cooler, which is nice. And if you do break this rubber thing, you can just pull this pin out and replace it. I break these once in a while on my Yeti coolers, and it's nice to have these things be replaceable because they can't break after being in the sun a lot. These latches, like I said, are really amazing. The tie downs are maybe the best part. So on a Yeti cooler, for example, there's a tie down, a side thing for cam straps or whatever, and the Orion cooler has that as well. You can see I can put a cam strap through there and tie this bad boy down, which is great. But on top of that, Orion added 4 of these metal tie downs, 1 on each corner. So I can also tie down to the corners if I want to, which is a really great feature. You know, there's not always a place to tie down on the side. It's nice to have 6 tie downs all around. They also double as a bottle opener. So if you have bottled beer in there, you can just pull a bottle of beer out, pop it open. It's not a feature I really care about, but it doesn't hurt. And it's kind of a thoughtful touch, which I appreciate. It also has what I would say are the best handles in the business. They thoughtfully place these a little bit above the top, so you're not hitting your knuckles on this. This handle, from what I've heard, is a motorcycle grip handle from Harley Davidson, which is, you can't get more bomber than that. They feel good, they're a nice size, they're great for carrying when it's full, and it's a nice thick rope. A lot of my coolers, I have an outfitting business, a lot of my coolers, these ropes break, and I like the fact that this is a solid rope. If it does break, it's really easy to put a new rope in there and there's a knot right there. You can pull out and redo it. So it's easy to replace if it does break, which is another thoughtful touch. One more thing that I'd like, if you look inside of this cooler, and I'm gonna do my best, I can't turn it over, but there's some slots in here, and they actually have cutting boards you can slot down in here. And so you can create easy division. You can buy the cutting boards from them or cut your own plastic dividers. Really nice dividers within the cooler that are all set up. So I really appreciate that. And finally, I just kind of like the squareness of it. It has a nice rectangular feel, which they're not sharp edges, but it fits nicely in things. It just feels nice when I'm carrying it. So I really, really enjoy a lot of the thoughtful touches on this cooler. There's a few things I don't like. The first thing is the color. Honestly, I just want white coolers. White, it absorbs the least amount of heat. And so this one's bluish. They come in a lot of like weird mix matching of colors. I'm not a big fan. I just want a simple white cooler or something that's just a light color. There's these things on the side that attach, the gimmicky things can attach to. This to me just seems like one more thing they can break. Maybe it adds side protection, I have no idea. But they have this thing, I think fishermen, there's something they can use to attach phones and rods to. I'm not a big fan of that extra thing, but whatever, it's not a huge deal. Finally, they put way too much branding on this cooler. It's a little bit overkill. There's this logo in the front, which is acceptable. Of course, you can see on mine, well, let's take it off. It's come off. On top, they put this big, huge Orion Coolers logo on the pad, which is like kind of a little bit overkill. And also when you open it up inside, there's a huge, big Orion logo. So I'm not a huge fan of all this over branding. We get it, it's an Orion Cooler. you don't need to tell us, are 3 big logos. So those are things I don't like that much about it, but they're not that big of a deal. Which reminds me though of a bonus thing, is there is a pad here. A lot of us like padded seats. On a lot of my coolers, I glue pads on anyway. I really appreciate that they did put a pad on top. That's something that I want. It's good for sitting on it when it's in your raft, or if you're standing on it for some reason, it's good traction. So having the built-in pad, especially for whitewater rafting, is a really nice feature. So that's pretty much it. It also, I mean, in case you're wondering, it does have a drain plug here, so you can like drain the water out. It's a bomber drain plug, so I definitely forgot to mention that, and that's a sweet feature. So that's the Orion Cooler. You know, it comes in, I think, 4 sizes. It doesn't come in all the sizes I want, but if that's the size I want, I think this is the best cooler on the market, especially for whitewater boating. So if you've used it and have any comments you want to add to it, or add to this video, please add a comment below. If you have questions about it, please ask a question. And yeah, if you have a second, you can hit subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Hit like if you liked my this video. If you didn't like it, hit don't like. That's fine too. But I'm hoping you liked it. So thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.